All right, guys, we got Connor, the controller Matthews. Connor, how you doing?
Doing good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Happy belated birthday. I just wanted to say also thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It was a good one. Turned 33, getting old.
Yeah. Why did you choose to join the military?
I started off fighting when I graduated high school. I had my first fight when I turned 18. And I was fighting for a couple of years, and I was working like construction jobs and stuff. And I was just got sick of the grind of working construction, doing that thing. And yeah, my dad was kind of getting on me. He's like, "Hey, you need to figure out what you're going to do in life." So, military seemed like a good option. Physical, like special operations. I was already super competitive, already in good shape from fighting and stuff. So, I kind of slid right into that, and it became my life for 6 years. It was awesome.
How has the military training influenced your fighting style or the way you approach fighting in general?
Just the mentality really is big. You know what I mean? I think being as it going through everything I went through in the military, martial arts has always actually kind of been a healing thing for me. Kind of like whenever I'm going into like struggles in like school or struggles and other things in my life, I use martial arts to kind of help me get over stuff, and that's why I actually started coming back. Like I didn't plan on making it to the UFC. I went to Afghanistan, came back from Afghanistan, and I started training to kind of help my mental. And next thing you know, I got way better after my military career, like you're saying, because I think of all the training I went through. It was a lot of like dealing with stress and high intense, training and from everything physical too. I had coaches and like strength and conditioning coaches and all these kind of different things that helped me going through my military career, and that's just really applied to being a professional fighter for sure.
Is Afghanistan the only place you were deployed to overseas?
Yeah, I only had one deployment. Kind of saw what it was all about, and it was kind of cool. I got to go out there and do the job, but I was like, yeah, I see it, done it, and I'm good. I don't want to, if I re-enlist and then you're in there for 10 years, you might as well stay in for life. I just want to, give something else a shot, and so yeah, here I am. I fought. My goal is to make it to the UFC. I made it to the UFC, and unfortunately, actually, I just got cut from the UFC today. So
Sorry to hear that.
it is what it is. I went 0-3, so it's no big deal. But I'm super happy for everything that I accomplished. Just making it with the Contender Series, the Dana White's looking for a fight. I mean, I was beyond like where I thought I was gonna go, anyways, almost. And I'm grateful that I did. I fucking love it. I love martial arts, and now I can kind of focus on my real goal is running my own gym, and being a firefighter. Actually, I have a job. I'm gonna be a firefighter starting in October, and I'm gonna run my gym, and that's gonna, I'm pretty happy with those two things.
Well, I didn't know that. Wow,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you very much.
Your gym is the basement, right?
Yeah, it's mom's basement. Actually, I'm at it right now, so it's in that door. It's we call it mom's basement because it's literally at my parents' house. We got a full on cage. We got. You want to see it real quick?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Take a look. I'll bring you in.
Hell yeah.
Some people hanging out in here right now. Some of the guys after I ran class, so after class, some of my people over there.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
What's going on? We're on a podcast right now. And so there's the cage right there. We got a full on cage, some mat area, got wall mats over here. We got a little gym. It's a disaster right now. We are a mess right now. It's usually not this bad, but after fight camp and my birthday, we kind of been sloppy. But getting it back together here. Probably do a nice deep clean tomorrow. But yeah, love it down here, man. We got a lot of good. You got a lot of up and coming like fighters that train out of here. Andrew Valdina, a local guy up here. Joe Poirier. Um, I've used it for training for my fight camps. I've had a lot of guys. Chris Montino, who just got signed to the UFC today. He's been down here training with me. So yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome. I love it. Rent's cheap, so.
Yeah. I heard about Chris Motino getting re-signed today. That's crazy.
I no Nobody deserves it more, man. That kid's a fucking dog. He really is.
I mean, was it a 5 round fight? He went 5 rounds with O'Malley.
He went 5 rounds of O'Malley.
Yeah, and they stopped it like a minute left into the to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like fucking like yeah, like 15 seconds left or something like that left in the fight, which just kind of pissed me off. It really kind of sucked that he got to finish right there
Yeah.
because you know what I mean. Chris is a dog, man. He like the more you hit him, the more he comes back at you. I swear to God. So, and dude, he's been on a tear ever since he got knocked out of the UFC. Yeah, I think he's has 5 fights, like 5 finishes. So he's ready to be back there for sure.
Glad to hear that. I'd love to talk to him too.
Yeah, yeah, I would love. Yeah, probably after this fight. I don't talk to Chris too much going into fights. He's kind of like a fucking animal stoic. But after the fight, we'll get you hooked up in there and talk to him for sure.
I appreciate that, Connor. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Connor, oftentimes we watch the UFC fights, we hear the coaches in the corner yelling. Sometimes they're just saying something very simple like go in there, or sometimes they're saying something very technical. How important is it to you to have good corner advice during a fight?
I want calm, good corner technical advice when I'm in a fight. I don't want anything, I don't need any motivation or anything like that. And I think corners are very, very important, man. You know what I mean? It's just your camps in general. You know what I mean? The people you put around you is very important about helping you out and accomplishing your fights. I love my corner, man. I love the guys I brought out there. Nothing that they did was, my losses are their fault or anything like that. You know what I mean? That was all on me, but they were. I feel like I put together a really good group of guys for my fights to get me ready for it. Especially if you watched my Contender Series fight against Jais Ferreira, it's like they would call something and I was like hitting it right away. You know what I mean? Like they helped me out so much in that fight. They're just having outside view, seeing things that you're not seeing. So, but that comes in training too. Is like learning how to listen to people while you're in the fight. That's a skill in itself. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That is a skill in itself because I've heard fighters say like, if you give me technical advice in the heat of the moment, it just confuses me. And I
Yeah,
believe that's like someone who is like mentally really, really sharp can handle technical advice.
yeah. It's the
Yeah.
mentality, man, going in there and being calm, cool, and collected. And that's the skill I think I learned in my military. You know what I mean? Like you had those high stress situations they would put us in all the time. Is like how to like okay, systematically think about what you got to do. Don't let the moment overwhelm you. And not to say that haven't had fights where I lose that sometimes, and you got to find it back again. It's not like it's like a thing. It's always a battle. But definitely, I think my military career helped me get better at that for sure.
Did you grow up in a patriotic household?
Pretty patriotic, you know what I mean? Everybody in my family, literally, the Revolutionary. I've had like a family member serve in the military, direct descendants from like the Revolutionary War on. So you know what I mean. My uncle was in the Air Force. My grandfather was in the military as well. He didn't die. He got blown off a ship, got injured. So in like World War II, so it's just been like generationally. Yeah, definitely. I think we were pretty patriotic. So it's pretty cool. I continued the lineage. I fought, served in Afghanistan for my age group. So I think that's pretty cool. I don't want my kid to serve in the military though. I don't have any, but if
Yeah.
I did, I'd be like, I don't know if it's worth it. You know what I mean? Depending on what you're fighting for. Like, I don't mind going out there and fighting, but like with this day and age in politics, like you don't even know what you're really fighting these wars for. So, um, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of jaded on that now, but still patriotic as hell. I still love this country.
That was a very in-depth answer. I love history. I love lineage, so that's very interesting to me. But what's something about the Contender series that fans wouldn't know?
Fans wouldn't know. All right, so I would say like interestingly going into the Contender Series, I mean, I don't know if it's changed, but like it wasn't much that like I see what it was like being a UFC fighter. Like they make all your meals for you, they do your rehydration drinks, they it's easy to kind of make weight once you're in the UFC because they have everything written out like dietitians and you know what I mean? Like they have everything written out. It's so easy. You just follow them, you make weight, super easy. You know what I mean? Travel anywhere, they take care of you. They make sure you're gonna fight and make sure you're gonna make weight. the Contender Series, they didn't help you at all. Like you're not allowed in the PI if there's no rehydration drinks. And I know that like in local scene fights, you know, I mean, it's the same way, but it's different when you're like traveling there. You know, if you fight in a local scene, you're in your hometown. You're always, you know, it's easy. You have people there to help you out with everything. You know, it's easy to make weight. But when you're traveling by yourself, you know, with a couple guys, like on a $5,000 like budget, because that's all you really make for fighting for the Contender Series, it's a tough fight week to have. I feel like for me, I struggled like my weight cut with Francis Marshall the first time I went. I had fucked that up so bad, and usually when I weigh in at 45, I rehydrate up to like 165, 166 before the fight. For that fight, I only rehydrated up to 153, which is like nothing. He was in there way bigger and stronger than me, and I fucking felt it. I made my corrections and figured it out on the second time with Jais Ferreras, but I think that's just something you know people don't expect. You know what I mean for Contender Series, but
Yeah.
it was cool though. I loved it. I think that as it's different because I Dana White's not even at the UFC when he's at for like a regular Apex card. I feel like he's not even showing up there for that, but he'll be there for a Contender Series night. You know what I mean? So it's like I thought that was pretty cool. You meet a lot of other fighters too. Like you know, at that night I met like Uriah Faber. I met like you know all these other guys. I thought that was pretty cool. Between losing and winning, it was funny. It was like two different opposite like experiences. When I lost, is like I boom. Actually, I went to the ambulance and I was out of there, just straight to the ambulance, out the back door. It's like, all right, bye. You know what I mean? But when you win, you like get to stay around. They give you some like chicken, some food. You have to do some interviews. They take care of you. So there's like a winner's circle, and like, up, get out of here. You're done. You lost. You got kicked out the back door of the Apex. It feels so, and literally the whole process, like as being a UFC fighter, I feel like that's people don't. They think that like you know you win. Hey, everybody, take it easy. Good job tonight. That kid's gonna be a monster. Scared, but
What's his
anybody.
name?
Damon. He's just brand new. But and that's Cody Rose. Damon and Cody Rose. Damon's brand new. He just started 2 days ago, but he's like a massive human being, athletic freak. So I don't know what I'm gonna do to hold pads for that kid, but he's probably gonna beat the crap out of me. Like if I miss the pad, I'm getting hit, I'm getting knocked out. So hopefully it doesn't happen.
I love that. Sounds like a
But
lot of fun, man.
but as a fighter for the UFC in general, like it's very so like systematic in business. They're like, okay, bus is showing up at 2 at your apartment. It's gonna bring you to the arena. You're gonna go in. You're gonna pee, warm up for like an hour. You're on TV. You walk. You're out, and then you're out the back door. So it's like it was so like it just doesn't feel like I don't know local shows. You're at the arena all night, hanging out, warming up. You know what I mean? You have all this time. For UFC, it's like it doesn't feel like that. You're just and even for my fight down in New Jersey is like you go to the stadium, tape your hands, warm up, boom, and you're in the door and out the back door, and they like make you leave right away. Which I understand why they do that because they probably don't want like different fighters hanging around all day and getting in trouble and doing stupid stuff. So they want you in and out. But it was just felt like such a I don't know. It felt weird. It was a different kind of fight experience than I expected, if that makes sense.
Totally. That sounds like honestly a really cool thing to be a part of the whole
Yeah,
Apex.
I like that.
Apex is different from that where they train.
The Apex is different from the PI, if that makes sense. Yeah. So they're like right across. Yeah, they're right across the street from each other. So, but like when I'm cutting weight for my Apex cards, it's great because you could always use the PI all week. You know what I mean? As a gym, they got like ice bath saunas. You could do your weight cut there. You pick up food there is the best part. So like they call in your food to the kitchen, so you just wake up in the morning, going down to the kitchen, and they have it already for you for free, like weighed out exactly what you need to eat. um the place is beautiful. It's like you're hanging out in like a almost feels like a tech, you know, like a Google or something like that. The way
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
describe it is like kind of like that. That's the best part about being in the UFC. And then the physical therapy, when you go in there, go hang out, getting worked out, worked on, getting massage, whatever, talking to like freaking Aljo and whoever other famous fighters. You know what I mean? I was just hanging out, just like get to know like all these other like big time UFC fighters. Like, dude, I'm watching these guys on TV in the military 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm hanging out, talking to them now. Yeah, so I thought
That's
that was pretty cool.
so sick, man.
like Marab, talk to Marab, hang out Marab. A lot of all my opponents who I've fought, usually they're like Dennis Bajuka's there a lot. Um, and we just, usually shoot the shit, talk to them. Super cool. That's the one thing I didn't expect with the UFC is how cool all the fighters are. Everybody I met at the PI and everybody that I met that works in the UFC were super fucking cool. Awesome. Great people. So, yeah.
Time I go to an event, I get the same experience. It's like
Yep.
everybody you meet is super nice. Hitting
Yep.
you up was super easy. Everyone's just really like down to earth.
100%.
But that whole performance institute, that's super sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd
I
love to
love
be a
it.
part of that.
I love it, dude.
Who are the fighters that you looked up to growing up?
Looked up to growing up, GSP, which is as he's probably my favorite fighter when I was a kid. I used to watch, and I get to hang out with him for a day. When I was down in Texas, I hung out with Tim Kennedy and GSP. We did, we did a workout in the morning, some jujitsu in the afternoon, and then we shot some guns. It was like the best day ever. Hanging out with
Sounds like a
GSP.
blast.
Yeah, it was fun hanging out with those two. But he was a big influence that I liked. I'm from New England, so Joe Lozon was the only like guy I knew around here. I used to train at his gym growing up as a kid, so he was a big influence to me as well. And yeah, those are my two big ones probably.
And when did you first realize you were a fighter? Like a scrap growing up, standing up to someone.
Definitely when I was a kid, I did traditional martial arts. So, and I was just good at it. So I was like already, knew it was different when I would fight around, like even playing around fighting with like people who didn't train before. And I was like, been training them out, like I could just fuck them up so easily. And I did it a couple times. I feel like one time when I played hockey growing up and we did helmet boxing and I didn't know how good I was in fighting until this day, actually. I'm scared as fuck because you know what I mean. Everybody's like going, throwing big bombs and swinging, hitting each other like big guys, and then it's like my turn to go with this other kid who's like a tough kid on the team, and then he threw a punch at me, and I just like slipped it and went by me, and threw another one, and he slipped it again and went by it, and I was just like, boom, I hit him like that, and he just got rocked like super hard, and I was just like. That was extremely easy, and then I tipped all like three other people, and I was just easily fucked up all these kids, and I was just like, I think I'm pretty good at fighting or something. I don't know. And then it's yeah, you don't realize that fighting is like a not a skill that everybody just naturally has. You know what I mean? You have to work on it to get at it. So yeah. And then I did my when I turned 18, my sensei, he was like, "All right, we're putting you in for an MMA fight." And I honestly like I knew like who Joe Lozon was, but I never watched UFC and I never been to a cage fight. So fighting in my first cage fight was the first time I saw like a cage and all that, and I was like, well, this is crazy. And then I just did it, and then I won my first fight, and then after that I was like addicted.
How much does the presence of fear shape the warrior?
Without fear there's no courage, so it's like you need fear to, yes, what I always tell myself, like if I know fear is here and I'm gonna it's present, but if I shy away from that, like you're supposed to feel like that. That's what conquering fear is. That's what courage is. You're supposed to feel that, and to fight through that is it's hard, but it's exactly what you need to grow as a fighter. You have to put yourself in these scary ass positions. You know what I mean? And you have to do that day in and day out, even in the gym. Like if you don't picking rounds you don't want to pick, you know what I mean? You always have to attack the thing that's the hardest as a fighter if you want to be successful in the sport.
What's the biggest difference between training for a fight and actually being in one?
Yeah, the lights change the whole atmosphere for sure. It's just the stakes. It's all mental, really. At the end of the day, you know what I mean. It's the same thing you do day in and day out, but at a certain level, the more cost to everything, it changes the vibe and the feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Connor, I really appreciate your time. I don't want to take too much more. I have two more questions for you.
Go ahead.
I know you're in the Air Force. Have you ever seen a UFO?
Nope. Nope. The only time I think I saw UFOs is when I was a little kid, and I don't. You know what I mean? It could have been planes. It could have been me imagining something else. Like, not that I know with the military, it could have been like a military operation going on with something like that. But I've never seen a UFO, but I really want to see one for sure. I always look. I'm always trying to see a UFO because I think they're real. I mean, they are real. You see these crazy videos, so yeah. And I've had friends tell me they've seen UFOs, so they're certainly real.
Okay, that was one I was looking forward to. Okay,
Uh,
how many Connor Matthews to beat a gorilla at the Roman Colosseum, and what's the game plan?
uh, I think that you could. I think it would take like 2,000, 200, 300, 400. I think because you need waves of people to get down. 'Cause you have to get that. This first of all, there's gonna be a ton of casualties. The gorilla is just gotta tire that gorilla out, and eventually there's enough people, you know what I mean? But it would have to be Connor Matthews, like not caring about dying. Because if it's Connor Matthews right now, I ain't going next to a fucking gorilla. You know what I'm saying? It'd have to be different Connor Matthews. I'm not a guy who can rip my arm off.
Hey, I appreciate your time, Connor.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, bud.
All right, man. Well, I'll be in contact soon.
All
Anytime
right.
there's fight news, we're down to have you back.
Sounds good. After I get through the fire academy, I will probably start looking at fights and all that stuff again. I'm gonna take a little break right now, but I mean, I can, I can't. I get this some local. I can't let some local guy be the best 45 in New England. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna happen. So we
Of
can't talk
course.
shit.
We had a great time, and
Yeah,
thank you for joining us, man.